This is Dave the LED Guru, and today I'll be doing a demonstration on the Mars Hydro Epistar Pro 120. When I received this unit, the first thing I did was I put it through a full teardown to inspect the materials used, and I put it through every kind of benchmark to see what kind of potential it had, and I have to say, it actually surpassed every one of my expectations and showed that a Mars Hydro unit could actually beat any kind of LED or COB system, and I'm going to explain why in several aspects. I was surprised when I received this unit because I am familiar with the Epistar 160s and the 320s, only because they're the two most popular for the most part. Now, I'm going to show you the difference first off with the chipsets, because here's an Epistar chipset. Here's the modular COB board. It usually comes in sections of 8. Now, with the Epistar versions, you get 440 nm, 460 nm, which are your blues. You get the 630, 660, and 730 IR, as well as 27 to 3000 Kelvin Epistar chips. Like I said, there's 5 chips per module, and they run down. So every 8, there's usually 1 IR, and then the mix goes from there. I'm not going to tell you the ratio, but that's the way it goes. And you can see, close-up view, that's the way that the Epistar usually goes. Beautiful construction. The engineering on this is flawless. I love the COB, I love the engineering of it. You get nothing obstructing the actual LEDs, so there's nothing imperative of the penetration. It's just full LED. Now here's the Cree version. You'll notice the LEDs look a bit bigger. It's just really the construction of Cree. People love the engineering of Cree. But the one thing I will say is that you only get 440 nm, you don't get 460 nm, as well as there's no 730 IR with the Cree. So if you can live without that and you want to stick with Cree, that's your chipset. Mars Hydro, like I said, same thing. Beautiful modular COB-based chipset, 4 LEDs per unit. Now, that's the main thing when you're looking at this Pro unit in respects to power output, because that is the main thing that you're looking for with energy efficiencies with LED. First thing I noticed when I tore this thing apart was the construction of this, like I said, is flawless. You got 4 screws on the right side of the cavity, 4 screws on the left, and then what happens is it hinges up and you pull it up and away from the electrical connections, because all the wiring is back here. It's all on the back side. And then with this 120 model, there's a driver located here, a driver located here, and a driver located here. And each driver controls basically a module of 8. So the one thing I noticed when I opened this thing up as opposed to all the older series is that same thing with the growth and bloom, but there is a bit of a difference there, and I'll explain that later. But first off, the fans have been upgraded with JSL fans as opposed to the older brand. I actually can't remember the older brand, but these ones draw 0.2 amps as opposed to 0.3, so 33% energy savings again, less decibel noise, better construction. When you look inside and you look at the drivers, like I said, I have the pictures posted on my Facebook, but I'm not going to tear it apart now for the sake of just doing the demonstration. The drivers inside are 1400 milliamps, 1.4 amps. So it's a huge upgrade when it comes to penetration and driving strength of the actual LEDs and the tolerance, as opposed to 655 milliamps, which you were getting before with the reflectors or even the Series 2 or the white Mars 300 and 600s. You can use the smaller drivers for the white series, but yeah, like you go from 655 milliamps to 1.4, which is 1400 milliamps, pushes you on par for pushing. Some people are driving at 2.1 now, but I find that's unnecessary for the amount of penetration that you're trying to get for top of canopy. Now, that's another thing that I'll say with these Pro models as well, is that usually with the chipset, is they're so powerful, I would recommend keeping them at least 16 inches away from the top of canopy, or you'll probably experience bleaching. Now, the one thing that impressed me the most specifically about this 120 unit, over the 160 and the 320 is the actual way that the power configuration and phasing is laid out amongst the board and what you get. Now, here, I'll explain. When you turn on the growth switch, the older models with the 160 and the 320, you would turn on the growth switch and it would turn on just your whites and your blues, your 440s and your 460s. You would have to turn the bloom on and usually leave both switches on to get full spectrum in order, because the bloom would just usually put out 630 nm, 660 nm, and 730 IR. Not the case anymore, which I absolutely love about this unit, and about time. Great, bang on Mars Hydro. You hit the vegetative growth switch and it only utilizes 33% of the power. Now, each modular COB-based unit utilizes approximately 85 watts. So if you really wanted to, if you wanted to go bloom and growth full power, you're looking at about 255 watts, and you'd be covering approximately a 3x2 area. That's full power. Not bad. But here's the absolute best part, is when you go from vegetative now, which is your blue and your white, and it's off, nothing on, and you switch to bloom, look at that, it is full spectrum. You utilize 75% of the power. It's going to give you farther more reds within just bloom, of course, but with 75% power utilization, that's only 190 watts for flowering for the unit. Like, that's insanely impressive, especially when you're only utilizing 3 base COBs, and the unit is almost the exact same size as the 160, except for it only has 3 COBs as opposed to 4 that are kind of squished together. But I really love this design better in a sense because it's better heat dissipation. There's air gradient between all the modules. You get a better coverage because there's better spacing. Like, this unit's incredible, and if you really wanted to, that's wow. That is super bright. Like, I'm standing probably about 9 feet back, 8 feet back right now, and my phone won't even dial in. That's using full spectrum, 255 watts, and that is bright. Like, there is no question that this unit is beyond powerful when it comes to penetrative strength for any plant that you're going to put under it. The thing that I love about this unit the most is it finally compromises power consumption in respects to coverage and utilization, which is incredible. That's just bloom. Like I said, so 75% power, 190 watts. 190 watts. If you're in this for energy efficiency, this is your best unit right now on the market. And the best thing about it is what? This unit, the 120, it goes for about $280 and comes with a 2-year warranty, 1 year full right off the bat. Anything happens, it gets fully replaced. And you have warranty centers all across North America and Europe. That's more to say than most of the other competition right now, and especially for $280. Like, there are units that are doing this coverage that they're selling for over $1,000 or around $800. You could try to even build your own Cree CXB COB, which are usually famous, that I don't think they'll be getting you the exact penetration, but anyways, this is a wrap-up. The Mars Hydro Epistar Pro 120, I would highly recommend, only because everything is absolutely right with this unit. It's flawless. Great job, Mars Hydro. This is my review. Good work.